Richard Hale had always carried himself like the world revolved around him. Every morning, his bright red Ferrari wasn't just a car, it was a warning, a reminder to everyone in the company about who held the power. People stepped aside, lowered their voices, and straightened their posture the moment they heard its engine roar into the lot. But on this particular afternoon, something disrupted that routine. His precious parking spot, the one no one dared to touch, was taken, occupied by a dusty old 1930 Cadillac that looked like it belonged in a museum basement rather than a corporate driveway. Richard stopped mid-stride, his guests behind him whispering in surprise. The air felt heavier as employees gathered, curious about the unusual scene. Then came Lewis Carter, the elderly janitor, walking slowly toward the old car with keys gently jingling in his hands. He wasn't stressed, wasn't nervous, just calmly doing what he always did. And that calmness, that simplicity, irritated Richard far more than the car itself. In his world, respect was earned through noise, money, and intimidation. But here stood a man who didn't seem bothered at all, someone who refused to shrink under his presence, and in that moment, the spark of a much bigger story quietly ignited. Richard's irritation didn't fade, it grew sharper, fueled by the murmurs of employees gathering around. He wasn't used to being questioned, much less ignored, and Lewis's calm silence felt like a challenge all on its own. With everyone watching, Richard leaned into the moment the way a man addicted to attention always does. He pointed at the two cars, the roaring Ferrari and the old Cadillac that looked like it survived 3 lifetimes, and smirked loud enough for every phone camera to catch it. Then he made a move no one expected. He turned the simple parking issue into a public spectacle, declaring a race on the spot. The crowd froze, unsure if they'd heard correctly. But Richard doubled down with a smug smile, raising the stakes far beyond what anyone thought reasonable. If Lewis somehow managed to beat him, he said, the entire company would be his. Gasps rippled through the lot. People exchanged looks, some laughing nervously, others already hitting record. It wasn't about a race anymore. It was about pride, ego, and a man desperate to prove his superiority, and through all the noise, Lewis simply adjusted his glasses, looked at Richard, and accepted with a small, steady nod, changing the entire atmosphere with one quiet decision. As the crowd shifted toward the far end of the parking lot, the excitement in the air felt almost electric. Employees hurried into position, elbows brushing as they tried to capture the perfect angle on their phones. Richard basked in the attention like it was his natural habitat, running his hand across the polished hood of the Ferrari as if introducing a star to its audience. He revved the engine, letting the thunderous roar echo across the concrete, loud, aggressive, and meant to intimidate. People flinched at the sound, the kind of reaction Richard enjoyed. Lewis, meanwhile, moved with the same steady pace he'd shown from the start. He opened the Cadillac's hood with a gentle creak, checked a strap here, tightened a hose there, nothing dramatic, nothing rushed. His actions were almost rhythmic, like he'd done it countless times without ever needing applause. When he finally settled into the driver's seat, the Cadillac responded with a soft, uneven hum. People snickered. Some shook their heads. Others whispered that the old man didn't stand a chance, but beneath all that noise, something subtle shifted. Maybe it was the determination in Lewis's eyes or the way he exhaled just once, slow and controlled. Whatever it was, the moment the supervisor raised her hand to start the race, those who were laughing suddenly grew quiet, sensing that what they were about to witness wouldn't be as simple as fast versus slow. Richard shot off the line like a man proving a point, the Ferrari screaming down the stretch while the crowd erupted behind him. Dust lifted off the pavement, cheers bounced in the air, and for a moment, everything looked exactly the way Richard had imagined, him in front, the attention on him, the victory already secured. Meanwhile, Lewis pulled away with quiet patience, the Cadillac rolling forward without drama, just a steady hum that almost disappeared under the echoes of the Ferrari. People laughed, nudged each other, and shook their heads as if the outcome was already written. But Lewis wasn't listening to any of it. His eyes stayed fixed on the road, hands relaxed on the wheel, as if he understood something no one else did. Then it happened, a sharp sputter cut through the air. The Ferrari, once a roaring symbol of dominance, faltered. Richard frowned, tapped the accelerator, pressed again, harder, but the warning lights lit up like a confession. Another sputter, a metallic groan, and the engine died completely, leaving him stranded in the middle of the lane. Silence swallowed his confidence. Far behind, the steady hum of the Cadillac grew clearer, almost comforting in contrast, and as Lewis approached, still calm, still composed, the entire crowd realized this race was never about speed, it was about character. When the Cadillac finally rolled across the finish line, there was no roar, no celebration, just a quiet, steady arrival that felt almost unreal after everything that had happened. Richard stepped out of the passenger seat slowly, his confidence drained, his expression tight with the kind of humiliation that doesn't fade quickly. Phones were already raised, capturing every inch of his discomfort, while Lewis climbed out on the other side with the same calm presence he'd carried from the very beginning. He didn't smile, didn't gloat, didn't posture for the cameras. He simply stood there, letting the moment settle on its own. Richard tried to speak, stumbling through excuses about mechanical issues and bad timing, but the crowd wasn't buying any of it. They had seen the challenge, heard his words, and watched the entire thing unfold. The investors looked even more disappointed, their silence speaking louder than any argument. And then, with everyone waiting for Lewis to claim victory, he surprised them all. He looked Richard in the eye and said quietly that he never wanted the company, he only raced because he was asked, and in that simple refusal, Lewis proved that dignity always wins louder than pride. As the crowd slowly drifted back toward the building, the atmosphere around them felt different, lighter for some, heavier for others. People kept replaying the moment in their minds, amazed at how the quietest man in the company had ended up showing everyone what real strength looked like. Lewis didn't ask for applause, didn't chase attention, and didn't seek revenge. He simply walked back to his old Cadillac and carried himself with the same steady grace he had before the whole spectacle even began. And that, more than anything, earned him a deeper kind of respect. Word spread quickly about the board's reaction, about Richard's suspension, and about the company rethinking how it treated people. But what spread even faster was admiration for Lewis, his composure, his humility, and the way he handled a situation designed to put him beneath someone else. When the chairwoman approached him and asked if he'd advise them on improving workplace culture, everyone understood why. He had shown, without a single dramatic gesture, what leadership actually looks like, and as he drove away in that old Cadillac, people realized something they wouldn't forget: true power doesn't need noise, it simply stands.